How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another...
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age, and this is the Halloween special. We are going to be covering...
Ghost Rider is not a Golden Age character.
Yes, he is.
You're talking about the cowboy in white, whose horse is white, and he's covered in fluorescent white paint.
Yes, that's exactly who I'm talking about.
He's Marvel. He's not Golden Age.
Okay, I know what you're thinking of, and I originally thought this too. You're thinking of the one from 1967, I believe. His name was Carter Slade, and that is Marvel. We are doing the one that was before Marvel, out of Cowboy Comics at the late end of the 40s.
Cowboys weren't popular until the 50s.
The Cowboy Comics were becoming popular at the late end of the 40s and into the 50s. Look, this is the original Ghost Rider, and when I introduced Ghost Riders, I think I said Dick Avery's when I meant to say Dick Ayers. This is what happens when you start doing recordings at 3 a.m. and you're not properly researching what you're doing before you start speaking. But it's Dick Ayers, and I believe he is the inker for this. I don't want to go too long into this intro because this is a big review. You can see by the timestamp that's on this thing, it is large, and it's not all dedicated to this intro. I am covering the original Ghost Rider that came out of 1949. I thought this would be a great review for a Golden Age story. It's got a lot of, kind of horror theme elements to it, and you'll see how, while being the Ghost Rider, he actually played into the role of being the Ghost Rider, and it's kind of weird how he melted into the darkness, considering that he was wearing a white fluorescent suit and his horse was covered in white fluorescence. But you'll see when we go over and cover him. So, like I said, Dick Ayers. I apologize for anybody who gets mad at me for messing it up, and I have some issues, but it's the 40s, so we can overlook some of it. Okay, so sit back, relax, listen to about Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider, he actually appeared as the Calico Kid before he was the Ghost Rider, so I covered the first appearance of the Calico Kid, and then we cover the first appearance of Ghost Rider, so we're getting two origins in on this. And let's get this started. Ghost Rider, Rex Fury first appeared in Tim Holt number 6 in 1949. The original publisher was Magazine Enterprises and created by Ray Crank and Dick Avery's. And I know the name Dick Avery's. I've covered some stuff he's done before. Now, before he became Ghost Rider, he actually started off as the Calico Kid. And the Calico Kid stories were okay. I mean, they weren't anything to really write home about. The way the Calico Kid goes is he wasn't even Rex Fury at first. He had a kind of a Clark Kent thing going. When he wore glasses, and he seemed like a subdued individual. And as the subdued individual, he would be the Calico Kid. But then when someone needed help, he would shed the glasses and a different outfit. And he did not have a name at first, but then he would be the stranger that was helping out people, and then, he would be the Calico Kid at the very end. Now, and his last appearance, which is Tim Holt number 11, which is also the introduction to Ghost Rider, he actually is given the name Rex Fury, and we find out that he is a U.S. Marshal. And in the other stories that would go on from there, whenever we would see his civilian identity, which was usually in the daytime, and I'm preferencing that for a reason, he would go around as Rex Fury, U.S. Marshal, and introduce himself like that on a number of occasions. Now, Ghost Rider would appear at night, and that's when things would get interesting. He would either come out in the middle of the night or like at dusk, just as it was turning dark. But he operated as the Ghost Rider at night. And one time, he actually stopped some criminals during an eclipse, but he did not come out in the daytime or the light, because then it would take away from him being a ghost. Now, what happens is he did ride a black horse, but the black horse was named Ebony, but that Ebony got killed in issue number 11, and then he would get the horse that he called Spectre, but it's him and the horse, they were always, the horse wasn't white, but then at nighttime, he would don a phosphorescent outfit along with a mask, which he didn't have a mask in his very first appearance, but when we cover the first appearance of Ghost Rider, you'll see why. And the horse was also covered in phosphorescent luminous paint, and he operated at night so he could seem more ghost-like. He also had a black lasso and a black bullwhip, so that when he needed to move to different places with, like, on the horse or make things come to him, it seemed more spectral because they couldn't see his weapon. Now, along with the phosphorescence that he wore, he had black on the inside of his cape, so he could either cover his lower body, he would flip it around, cover his lower body or cover his head to make him seem like he was a ghost and spectral in many ways. Now, this gimmick can only go on for so long, but he had gadgets. Yes, he is a gadget, in a way, superhero. He had a Chinese man that he hooked up with as the Calico Kid, and then helped him with inventions as the Ghost Rider, making up a hollow projection so he could seem like there was a spectral ghost there, coming up with reflective surfaces so there could seem like there was more than one. Near the end of his final run, of his self-titled comic, he had reverse glasses so people could see themselves and see the evil inside them. And it was all of these gadgets, smoke bombs, the idea of the black lasso, the black whip, all of these things to make him seem like he was a ghost or a spectral image. Now, as for fighting ghosts, demons, goblins, witches, it seemed like he was at first, like the story would seem like he was going after these things, but they turned out to be people in costumes. He didn't outright fight anything spooky, supernatural, demon related. Not that I was able to find. So he was fighting people who were preying on the fears sometimes, but he always revealed them to be in the end. Sort of like if you ever watched Scooby-Doo and took off the mask. I wouldn't have got away with it. Okay. So as the Calico Kid, he appeared in Tim Holt's 6 through 11. 11 is when he became Ghost Rider. And he had 2 appearances in Great Westerns, but those were reprints. Now, as for the Ghost Rider, he appeared in a lot of stuff. Tim Holt, 11 through 41, plus the Red Mask, 42 through 50. Now, the 42 through 50 of the Red Mask was a continuation of Tim Holt comics, because the Tim Holt, halfway through his run, would become the Red Mask, so he gets his own self-titled comic called The Red Mask. Ghost Rider gets his own self-titled comic for 14 issues. He appears in 12 issues of The Best of the West. Appears in 1 issue of Great Western himself, but this was after his run was over in 1954. A couple of issues of Bobby Benson's B-Bar B Riders. And so let's see, 1 issue of Black Phantom. And then he appeared in a number of things called A1 comic books, and these were spread out 27, 29, 31, 34, and there are 14 different appearances, and these are all reprints of Ghost Rider, but they're not consistent. I looked up A1 Comics, and they reprinted all the titles that these guys did. They reprinted them in different issues. So, like, it would say A1 Comics number 27, and then in abbreviations it would say Ghost Rider number 1. Like, and it was very hard for me to locate these A1 comic books. I had to go to a number of sites to find these Ghost Rider issues, and they are all reprints of the Ghost Rider comics. I mean, he was an extremely popular character when he became the Ghost Rider. See, because after the superheroes started to fall off, and there were some superheroes still around in the 1950s, Westerns had become huge. They exploded all over the place. A lot of other comic books and titles were either doing them on like someone like Tim Holt, who was real, or, let's see, oh, why is his name escaping me? The Duke, John Wayne, he had a lot of comic books. But the Ghost Rider coming out as a masked vigilante hero and a cowboy at the same time was huge for people. And now, around the time when he was coming out with his last comic, the Comic Code Authority in 1954, I hate these people. They decided that the Ghost Rider stories were too spooky and they didn't like the horror aspect of him, so he got discontinued. And he would have his last issues come out in Great Western Comics. Now, the stories of the Ghost Rider themselves weren't all that horror-based, but in the Ghost Rider comics, and they also appeared in a couple of issues of the Tim Holtz, he was doing these Tales of the Ghost Rider, which didn't have anything to do with the Ghost Rider. It was usually like a 4-page story format where people either died by their own hands or had an occasion of something that can only be supernatural related. I don't know why they called these Tales of the Ghost Rider. They had nothing to do with the Ghost Rider or the Calico Kid or Rex Fury in any way. There were 4-page stories, and the supernatural element was kind of there. Like this one guy who was trying to make himself famous using Nero's fiddle, and he didn't know it was Nero's fiddle. Nero played the fiddle while Rome burned. People double-crossing, deceiving, one girl getting bit by a spider and thought that she saw hallucinations of demons, so that one wasn't, supernatural related, but in essence of it. But, I mean, the Ghost Rider, I've shown you a lot of the things that he's used. He has a very thick mask. One time he got acid thrown in his face and it melted the mask, but since the mask was so thick, it didn't reach him. He's gotten shot in the chest. He had a bulletproof vest on, and then the clothes were loose so that the bullets didn't bounce off of him. They got, set off little sparks, and then they, collected below the suit, so it looked like he was absorbing the bullets. So a lot of tech to hold up his ghostly persona. The Chinese guy was responsible for the tech, but Rex was the one who implemented it. A lot of good stories, a lot of interesting stories. He didn't like to kill the people because he was bringing them into justice, which was a huge thing for cowboys back then, bringing people in so they could serve a form of justice. So I covered the first appearance of the Calico Kid, and I covered the first appearance of Ghost Rider, so you can get a better idea of who this is. I've gone over it pretty well, and what was going on. Since he was a U.S. Marshal, his jurisdiction was anywhere he found himself. So let's dive into the origin stories, and then you can see, I have a problem with the first Calico Kid story, and I express that when I'm reviewing it. But 1949, I guess it was okay for them. Just, I have an issue with it, and I'm probably looking at it with the eyes of today. And 10 years ago, I probably would have looked at it the same way. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over these reviews so you can actually see where and how he first started. One more thing I wanted to mention. In the retelling of Ghost Rider #1, they kind of retold his origin story. And what I mean by that is they still did they're still going to do the origin story the same of where he ends up. But in the first issue, I mean, when he becomes Ghost Rider, they don't talk about any kind of formal training he got. He gets knocked down a whirlpool that he gets thrown into by a villain, where in this one he meets the ghost of Wild Bill Hickok, and then he is trained in how to be a cowboy by Pat Garrett, who shot Billy the Kid, and they mentioned that a number of times. Pat Garrett, Kit Carson, Calamity Jane, Wild Bill Hickok, and, one I didn't mention at first, Bill Tillingham, who was the sheriff of Dodge City. So, Wild Bill Hickok was a crack shot. Tillingham taught him speed. Kit Carson learned and trained with American Indians, or Native Americans, or Indians as they're calling them at the time. So he teaches him that. And Calamity Jane teaches him how to shoot while riding a buffalo. Shooting buffaloes while riding horses. Why did I say riding buffaloes? I'm looking at it right now. So he gets taught about all the cowboy ways from these great dead historical figures. And there were a couple of that I thought should have been in there, but I don't think they were actually dead by the time period of this comic. So that's why they picked them. I mean, I know there were more female, cowgirls at that time, but the only one he teams up with is Calamity Jane. Now, they didn't show him wearing the mask until Tim Holt number 12, and then getting his horse. But at the end of his first story of his first self-titled comic, he's in the full outfit, teaching these two guys a lesson about not fighting each other. But then he's back in the cave, and his torn outfit is like, I don't know if any of this really happened. But it's really strange, and it's really weird. But I do like the kind of revamping of his origin story, being taught and trained by ghosts. I mean, he is the Ghost Rider. It makes sense that while a cowboy is from the past would teach him how to be a cowboy, a crack shot, with rifles and guns, being able to throw objects, use his lasso and a whip in ways that would be, beneficial for him in the future. So I do like the retelling of his origin. It goes more into depth of him being a ghost, being trained by ghosts, and this is the only supernatural element that isn't people in masks, which may or may not have been a dream. So, I'm showing you the pages here of his first story in his first comic. But the first story in his first comic came out in 1950, so he had a couple of issues where he was the Ghost Rider first, and they had his first appearance in Tim Holt number 11, and then later would have the Ghost Rider. So, yeah, I think I'm explaining this way too much. Okay, so you get a better idea of where his skills come from, which, knowing this, makes a lot of his other comic books pretty interesting. His stories. There's comics. He had a self-titled comics. So let's go ahead and review his first appearance as the Calico Kid. Two things first. The Fabulous Gold Rush actually happened in 1848. They put 1849 here. And some of the way they're treating the man from China here is extremely disrespectful and kind of racist. But remember, this is 1949. They didn't see anything wrong with this. In the 16 years after the fabulous gold rush of 1849, California became the fastest growing state in the Union. But in places like Sand Canyon, there was peace. Ah, yes, there's nothing quite like the peace in the sleepless little town of Sand Canyon. Looks like he ain't fixing to open the bolted door or blast the lock, Jed. Hand laundry. Shop for washing clothes. Now, these next three things. Oh my god. Okay. And within the laundry, a little night-groomed creature clings to the floor. Why did you call him a creature? You could have said a night-groomed man. No wreck shop unworthy sing-song surrenders for unknown crime. Oh my god, the way you just made him speak and the fact that he's yellow. I know in 1949 people didn't see anything wrong with this, but good god. Looks like we have a little clarifying for you, China boy. Jesus. This panel would not pass today without some serious outrage. Alright, the town marshal was just found in front of his house with a knife in his back. And the marshal mumbles, "Get sing-song." Reckon that gives us a pretty powerful case. His name is Sing-Song? Would that even be a Chinese name? Or is that just what you guys call him? I'm going to go ahead and go with it, but alright. They're hauling him off because the marshal... They're going to have a hanging party. That's what they did back then. Meanwhile, at the edge of town, you see this guy coming in, and it's the Calico Kid. Meanwhile, at the edge of town, a trade wagon rumbles towards the marching mob. Well, there's 3 people. That's hardly well, actually, they show... Okay, well, there's 5 people out here, but in this panel, can 5 people really be considered a mob? And definitely not 3, but can we have a mob with 5? And they set fire to the laundry too. I did not notice that the first time I watched this, but as they're marching off, you can see the building burning. So not only did they take Sing-Song, they torched his laundry business. Well, if it ain't the Calico Kid, you're just in time to see a hanging. And he says he doesn't have any time for that. He's just wondering who's being strung up. And they tell him that the marshal said get Sing-Song. And kind of rushing things a bit, ain't you? A man got the right to a court trial. And we've got all the trial all right. A trial fitting for a coffin. Yeah, stuff like this wasn't unusual. If you've ever watched any Old West movies, they would form a mob and grab a guy and just hang him out in the woods. That was the form of justice back then. I mean, yeah, they're kind of rushing into this, but that, although I don't agree with what they're doing, this is something that did happen. So once he's inside the stable, he starts changing into his alter ego, which does not have a name. I mean, they don't even actually put a name to his alter ego until he's about to become Ghost Riders. I mean, in the glasses and the hat, he's the Calico Kid. So he changes into what is an unknown person right now. So he tells the horse to crawl out from under the tarp that he has on him, and they head out to go rescue Sing-Song. Come on, get them ropes across the limb. Please spare pale person from painful neck procedure. Oh, I've got so much problems with how they're doing that. This thing was printed years ago. Yeah. There she goes, boys. Now we can get this Chinese emblem along to his ancestors. Jesus Christ, what was wrong with you? Who wrote this story again? Ray Crank and Dick Avery? Dick Avery's, you know better than that. You must have been the inker, not the writer. Anyways, but I might If any of you sage snakes stir, okay. This is all a miserable mistake. Sing Song would never kill nobody. You see, that's actually a little bit better. But I might. If any of you sage snakes stir, you slide out of that saddle. What? What in the heck is a sage snake? Okay, so he goes and rescues Sing Song, and he wants all the men to put their hands up. And these pages aren't quite here. Why would these guys keep their hands up as they run away? I'll take the torch, friend. Now meander over to the rest of your... Okay, so he takes the torch, tells him to get with the rest of his people. Any reaching as we ride off, it'll be your own funeral. So he says he'll shoot them if any of them try to follow him, but of course they're going to follow him. So he rides up the mountain, and Sing Song points out, you know, if we're going to ride this torch, they're going to follow us. And he says those rope-happy hombres will head after the torch all right, only we won't be carrying it. Get off of that horse and pile on behind me, Sing Song. So they attach the torch to the horse, one of the horses they're riding, and they have it ride off, knowing that they're going to chase after the horse. Because even though they don't say it's happening at night, well, they did say the guy was nightly groomed, so this is all happening at night, which they don't outwardly say, but you wouldn't see the torch off in the distance unless they were. Okay, let's see. This is the most hilarious hoax on Hangman. Now Sing Song free to flee and reopen laundry business in distant cherished China. Not quite, Sing Song. You're still in my custody until I find out more about who murdered the marshal. So they're having this discussion about what's going on as the men follow the horse with the torch attached to him up the hill. I hope you have that saddled properly. I would hate to see that horse get burned by the torch just because the horse was unfortunate enough to be there. Anyways. There they go over the rise. Charlie got quite a start on us, but we can't lose them, not with that torch to trail. Yeah, so they are going after the torch while they get away. Back in Sand Canyon, it's getting light out any minute now, Sing Song. You better buck in the stable for a spell. It's been most unwelcome night. You could have said a most unwelcome night. Sing Song almost strung up, business all burned up. Tickets for lost laundry become worthless. Tokens. Poor Miss Gordon's wash and Messy Hazlitt and stranger at hotel, Mr. Sansone. Sansone almost sounds like Sing Song. That must have been what the marshal meant. And he tells him to hide in the trailer marked Calico. Sing Song couldn't know that he's the Calico Kid. I will do. Only objecting owner of wagon will make this weary one move. It's actually one of the best statements that you've said so far. So, he stumbles on into the hotel, and it looks like the guy Sanson is checking out, and he says that he wants to have some breakfast first, but he's going to leave because he heard someone killed the marshal. And then our hero says, "Oh, the marshal ain't home. They patched him up and sent him home." And Sanson he agreed by this. So the owner was like, "Oh, I declare. Now, about that breakfast, sir, we have bacon and sausage, and skip them vitals. I'm figuring to take a breath of morning air first." So he seems most distraught about the news that the marshal isn't actually dead, and he says he's going to go outside and take a breath of fresh air. A breath of morning air first. That's okay. Looks like the news sort of upset Sanson's breakfast. Reckon I'll ride along for a breath of air myself. So he astutely follows Sansung and notices him going on the trail that they're on. The only thing out in this area is the marshal's house, so he knows he's going there. So he follows him up and waits for him to get inside far enough. "Guess you can drop that pig sticker and come down, Sansung. You won't find anybody here besides me, and I've seen enough." And let's see. Come on, stranger. You seem to be a right sensible fella. Can't we make a little deal? And he says he's going to take him into custody. So he decides that he wants to fight. Suddenly, all right, I'll get to it, all right, and trips him up. Doesn't pay to play fair with a treacherous toad like you. And he gets kicked into the wall. Awesome. Appears like this feller flitched a bit of mail from the marshal. Well, we're going to take a look at the letter, Mr. Sandstone. Notice to all Midwest and Western District marshals. The way you have it footed makes it a little difficult to read. The above Victor Sandstone is wanted for army desertion and suspected espionage. Notify Colonel J.R. Buckley, Grand Army Headquarters, New York. I'm not sure where that is. This guy doesn't look like he's military material. Of course, you know, it's the bowler hat that he's wearing. Anyways. I reckon the marshal must have pegged you when you knifed him, Sandstone, but I'm afraid it's going to be a trifle troublesome turning you in since I'm wanted by Sandstone Canyon Mob myself. Yeah, you rescued the China guy, and now they're going to want you too. So, as he's taking Sandstone out, speak of the devil, Sandstone, just going to have to leave you behind. Hey, Jed, take a look over there. That's the stranger in the Chinese. Come on. What? All right. So he takes off as the mob shoots after him. He got away again, Wall. Oh, you gotta love how soldiers speak. At least we got that ornery Oriental. This ain't sing-song. Seems to be some hombre named Samsung. Sorry if I'm doing this in a southern accent. If I'm doing southern, that's just how I picture these guys talking. Later, back in Sand Canyon, Calico Kid is leaving. Hey, Charlie. Here tell you aiming to have another hanging around. I'll read the last two. Hey, Charlie. Here you're aiming to have another hanging around here. Some fella named Samsung. There won't be any more hangings without a fair trial in Sand Canyon. If you weren't for that stranger, we might have made a bad mistake with that boy Sing Song. Well, if you see Sing Song, tell him the folks are aiming to rebuild his burnt laundry. I'll keep an eye open for him. And this one's eyes shall search for mysterious stranger. Oh, that's a thought bubble. He's not saying it out loud. So when it's the Chinese guy, you're going to hang him. But when you find out that it's this guy, an army deserter, that's when you win a fair trial. Seems a little hypocritical to me. Anyways, that's the Calico Kid. The Ghost Rider. And we see this guy in the background. When the Calico Kid went to his doom in the swirling, surging waters of the Devil's Sink, bad man Bart Lasher laughed an evil laugh. Then out of the realm of the death came the Ghost Rider. And here's Dick Avery's name right here. So we see the Calico Kid and Sing Song riding, and they're attacked by, and I'm calling them Indians because in this that they're Indians, even though we use the phrase Native Americans nowadays. So the horse gets hit and goes down and throws the trailer, and immediately he ditches the glasses identity because he just needs to fight. So he starts shooting some of the Indians, and they're fighting him, and he's throwing them off with hand-to-hand combat. If you Red Devils, oh my, you called them Red Devils. If you Red Devils would lay off the firewater, God, you wouldn't go crazy this way. You really just... Okay. But superior numbers proved too much for the Calico Kid. Pretty good fighting, Calico Man. And this is where we're actually going to get a name associated with him. Come out from behind those paint and feathers, Bart Lasher. I know you. And I know you, Calico Peddler, roving Federal Marshal Rex Fury, but you're turning in your badge now, Fury, with your boots on. If you're wondering what... this is a reference from the Old West, dying with your boots on. A lot of people had gunfights, and you would die with your boots on. Yeah, it's a thing. All right, right you are, Renegade, and don't forget that there are other marshals who will come hunting if anything happens to me. Don't sass me, Fury. Anyways, there won't be a trace left of you except for a dead horse and a smashed wagon. You're going in the Devil's Sink. I mean, it's a whirlpool. I mean, if you want to call it the Devil's Sink, go right ahead. All right, so they throw Rex, the Calico Kid, into the swirling vortex of the water, and they say they've gone down out of sight forever. Deep in the black, twisted heart of the whirlpool. Let's see. Gasp, air, gasp. We're out of the whirlpool, an underground cave. Behold, fierce water, busted ropes. Yeah, I mean, it's an underground cave where things get left. That's probably why that they thought that there would be no evidence and they would die. Because they probably didn't know about the underground canyon, but they got pulled into it, so they're surviving. Look around you, Sing Song. It's busted other things too. We're pretty lucky. Well, yeah, I see some of the stuff that's broken open. You guys are pretty lucky you didn't die. So they travel for hours and they follow the river out, which is pretty smart actually. And as they're emerging from the canyon or the cave, they see that it's the sun setting. You know, Sing Song, I've got a pretty tricky idea. Listen. Now we come to this next word bubble, and it's suddenly letting us know that 2 weeks have gone by. 2 weeks later, in the back room of Bart Lasher's trading post. Tomorrow night, we raid the Widow Ames, A-M-E-S, ranch. The land is pretty valuable. There'll be only one widow and boy to deal with. I said window. With her out of the way, with her outfit away on the drive. With her outfits away on the drive. What does that mean? Are they trying to say that the whole house... Let's see, we're going for the Ames ranch. Does that mean that everybody else in the ranch is left and only those two are the only ones staying behind? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, but why would you say her outfit's away on a drive? That's just... As many Westerns as I've watched, I've never heard someone call the rest of the family an outfit before, but maybe I haven't watched as much as I thought. Get the other gun, Jim, quick, and she's actually shooting at them. That's a tough lady right there. We can't stay here anymore, Mom. We'd burn alive. And then the Indians bust in, and they try to take her hostage, and it looks like they're getting ready to kill her. Suddenly, out of the black night, be gone, you devils, be gone! You're calling the Indians devil. How progressive of you. As the shrill screaming command shrieks from the throat of the ghostly rider, the superstitious Indians screech and flee in abysmal terror. Well, I mean, the guy is someone that they killed, and he is glowing. I mean, he's completely luminescent. He's glowing. So, by every stretch of the imagination, this guy's a ghost. I would have believed that this guy's a ghost. We saw him die, and now he comes back on a white horse, completely dressed in white, and he's glowing in the darkness. Yeah, I would believe he's a ghost. And he sees him. It's Rex Fury's the ghost. Bart Lasher, I want you. And as the panicked Indians scatter and flee, the frightened leader spurs his own horse. He's come back from the dead. I gotta get out of here. I mean, yeah, he looks like a ghost. Lasher knew if he scared you off or killed you, you could buy in your property cheaply, but you're safe now. Farewell. So he chases after Bart Lasher, and he's scared that this ghost is going to, come and kill him. Get away from me. Leave me alone. There's money in my belt. I'll pay for a new ranch house for the widow. You'll pay all right, Lasher. Do you recognize the terrain? This is where you killed Sing Song and me and Ebony. Suddenly, Lasher's horse sees and rears, frightened by something across his path. Yet the horses are pretty intelligent like this. They are not going to go in areas where they sense danger. So the horse stops suddenly, and Lasher is not properly seated because he's trying to get away quickly. Lasher, caught off guard, is thrown. No! Oh, that's not going to turn out good. Impaled on the broken wagon spoke. The wagon he wrecked himself. Evil finds its own reward. The Ghost Rider will ride again. Watch for him. This one went quicker. I hope you liked this video. I hope that you learned a bit about Ghost Rider. I know with Blue Beetle and Ghost Rider, I don't normally grab heroes that have this much in what they're doing, but I would like to start getting some more heroes that have more than 1 or 2 debut issues. It's more to talk about. But I'll still be doing the obscure ones too. I don't know how obscure Ghost Rider technically is, because I didn't even know that he started in the 40s. I thought Ghost Rider started in Marvel proper. So this was actually something that I just recently found out about and thought it would be great for the Halloween special. So, I hope you liked this video, and I have more to come. Until next time, I'll be seeing you.